President Biden on the verge of an economic milestone, even as he faces calls to end his re-election campaign. Here are the details. Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman. What's the milestone, Rick?
It looks as if Biden is going to get to the end of his first term without a recession. There has been no recession during the Biden years so far. If you look at the Bloomberg forecast, odds of a recession during the next 12 months are just 30%, according to economists they survey, and that's looking 12 months ahead. The odds of a recession have been much higher earlier in Biden's term. They went as high as 65%. And there were some economists a year or two ago saying it seemed almost certain that there was going to be a recession. There has not been a recession, and it looks like Biden is going to get to the finish line on this one. The question is, will it help Biden? And I guess the preliminary question is, will he even be the candidate going for re-election in November? That's a totally different story, and I think there's more news to come on that in the next week or two. But even if the candidate turns out to be Vice President Kamala Harris, she would, of course, be running to some extent on Biden's record. And I think she'll be able to say, look, we've had no recession on our watch. And by the way, inflation is cooling off at just the right time for the incumbent Democrats to be able to say, as people are making up their minds in September and October, look, the economy is going strong, job growth has been strong, and now inflation is basically receding. So there's a pretty good economic story here for the White House. But of course, there's a bigger story, which is whether Biden's going to be the nominee.
Biden's big press conference tonight, Rick. How much is that now? How much is that riding now? How big is this for Biden?
Well, I mean, it's becoming kind of absurd inside the Beltway. It's like this is a do or die moment for Biden. He's holding this press conference at the conclusion of this 3-day NATO summit, and there's actually important NATO news. I mean, you don't get to say that very often. There's important NATO news, but there is. Biden said this week that Ukraine is going to become a member of NATO, almost certainly, even though he didn't give a time frame for that. There's a new announcement. This is important, that the United States may now position some hypersonic missiles and other types of advanced weaponry in Germany, clearly aimed as a signal to Russia. Another new development is now it seems like Ukraine is going to be getting F-16 fighter jets by the end of this summer. I mean, this is all big stuff, but I think there might be 3 questions about that at this press conference. And then it's going to be all asking Biden, is he going to stay in the race? Why doesn't he drop out? Testing him, whether he can remember, all these names of foreign leaders and stuff like this. And of course, everybody who's going to be watching, which is going to be a bigger audience than you'd ever get for a press conference about NATO, is just going to be watching, does he fall on his face? Does he have a senior moment? Does he lose his train of thought? So there are a lot of people inside the Beltway who seem to think that it is inevitable that Biden is going to withdraw. And what we're looking at now is just the manner in which he does it and how clean the transition is to a new candidate. But we're not going to get that news tonight. We're just going to get Biden trying to prove his fitness once again on live TV.
And we'll see how that goes. Thanks a lot, Rick.
Hold your breath, everybody.